Okay, so we have 10.4 video notes today. The first term we're going to define is an intercepted arc, which is an arc that has endpoints on the sides of an inscribed angle. For example, in this picture, DA is an inscribed arc. Is an intercepted arc. Arc DA is our intercepted arc here. So our two inscribed angles in this piece would be DCA and DBA. And the definition of an inscribed angle is an angle whose vertex is on a circle and the sides are chords. And the sides of that angle are chords. So here BA and BD are both chords. Here CA and CD are both chords. One additional thing we're adding in about inscribed angles, we're going to kind of add this up here, is that they are 1/2 the measure of the intercepted arc. So, for example, the measure of angle DCA is equal to the measure of angle DBA, which is equal to 1/2 the measure of arc DA. So whatever this arc is, we can multiply it by 1/2 to find this angle and that angle, or vice versa. If we have this angle, we can multiply it by 2 to find the angle of the arc. So as we mentioned above, if we have two inscribed angles intersecting the same arc, they have the same measure. So the measure of angle DCA equals the measure of angle DBA. So our next little piece here refers to an inscribed angle intercepting a semicircle. So an inscribed angle intercepting a semicircle has an angle measure of 90 degrees, right? Since a semicircle is 180, it has an angle measure of 90 degrees. So we can draw in that little right angle symbol at G, right? It is a right angle, right? That's what we just were saying. It's a right angle. So let's write that in there too, so we can draw in the right angle measure in the corner. If we have a quadrilateral that is inscribed in a circle, inscribed means it's inside of the circle with all of the points touching. So if we have something like this with a quadrilateral inscribed in a circle, the opposite angles here are supplementary. So the measure of angle MLK plus the measure of angle MNK equals 180 degrees, and the measure of angle LKN plus the measure of angle LMN also equals 180 degrees. So those opposite angles are supplementary. I know this will be slightly difficult because it's kind of hard to see both pictures at once, but this first one is talking about our initial picture up at the top, and it says if the measure of arc DA equals 80, what is the measure of angle DCA? Remember that since DA is our intercepted arc up at this picture at the top, since DA is our intercepted arc, DCA is half of that, so we can do 1/2 times 80, which gives us that the measure of angle DCA equals 40 degrees. Next, we're going the opposite way, so we're given the inscribed angle of DBA and we're trying to find the other one. So in this case, we'll do 37 times 2, so the measure of arc DA equals 74 degrees, right? If we have the angle, we're looking for the arc, we multiply by 2. If we have the arc and we're looking for the angle, we multiply by 1/2. So we do the opposite there. Then in our next picture, we're asked for the measure of arc FJH, which we know since it's a semicircle should be exactly 180 degrees there. Then we're asked for the measure of angle HGF, which we know from what we marked on the picture and what we talked about earlier, we know that's exactly 90 degrees. Then we're going back up to the top, which DCA and DBA are these two angles here. DBA, DCA, we know these two are equal to each other, right? They're marked as such, and because they both intercept the same arc, they're going to be equal to each other. So those are marked as equal, so we're just going to set these two equal to each other, and then remember we need to find the measure of DCA at the end. We are not just finding x. So this would be 3x minus 5 equals 2x plus 15. When we solve for x here, we get x equals 20. Then when we plug this back into DCA, we have 3 times 20 minus 5. So the measure of angle DCA equals 55 degrees in this case. Our next problem is referring to this last picture here. So using what we have here, we have the measure of LKN plus the measure of LMN. We know these two have to be supplementary, so we can say x plus 82 equals 180. So the measure of angle LKN would have to be 180 minus 82, which in this case is equal to 98 degrees because they have to be supplementary because they're opposite angles in an inscribed quadrilateral. Our next one refers to this picture again here. It says that GF is 96 degrees, so GF here is 96 degrees. Then it wants to know what GFH is equal to. So to find that, we'll have to find GH first. So we know that the entire circle is the entire circle is 360. We know that GF is 96. We know the other half is 180. So we know that arc GH will equal 360 minus 180 minus 96, which comes out to 84. And then to find this measure here, we'll do 84 times 1/2. So the measure of angle GFH equals 42 degrees. Then this one here on the right goes back up to our first picture. So it says measure of angle DBA equals 65. Find the measure of DCA and measure of DA. The measure of angle DCA, like we discussed earlier, is equal to the measure of DBA, so these two are equal to each other, and DA, we have to multiply either of these by 2, so 65 times 2, and the measure of DA equals 130 degrees. Thanks, I'll see you in class on Tuesday.